Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Symphony. Symphony Entertainment, Gaming, and Arts is my gaming company that focuses on horror systems, indie games, organic content, and player agency in an attempt to bring a symphonic approach to horror role playing. I am your host and storyteller, Bridgett Jeffries, and we are back with Sanguine Arch, Symphony's very first Vampire the Masquerade campaign that takes place in modern nights in Columbus, Ohio. Tonight, we are bringing together most of our cast. Our asset director and your favorite Bruja, Kevin, are on vacation right now. So I think they're on somebody's beach having the time of their life with like really poor Wi-Fi. And even if they didn't have poor Wi-Fi, they're enjoying their vacation. So Carl, thank you for everything that you've done to help get us to this point, and we look forward to hosting you and having you and enjoying you on a different episode. But right now, advocate for yourself just like you've done. Enjoy your vacation, and we will catch you on the flip side. Guys, we have two announcements for tonight. The very first one is that we are rolling out a new segment with Sanguine Arch called Symphony Notes. Tiffany and I actually made that up on a recording that we had like 2 days ago. This is going to be a new series of segments that are not a part of our mainstream story, but either go into the future, into the past, or go inside of one of our kindred. We may bring on guest storytellers, we may bring on guest NPCs, but these are small blips of additional content that you get to see as you walk along with the stories that we're telling with these kindred. So depending on how I have done the segment sequence so far, I think you've already enjoyed your very first symphony note prior to this episode. Most of the symphony notes are going to be airing on our mainstream. We are going to have various symphony notes, however, that are going to be Patreon or backer only. So if you want to make sure you get access to all of the content, you should probably follow us on Patreon. See, that was a great transition. That's actually our second announcement. Symphony does have a Patreon. To see more content like this, to help support us generating and creating content like this, please consider backing us on Patreon at patreon.com/Symphony Entertainment. There are so many fun things that are coming down the pipeline for Sanguine Arch with our backers. And that's everything from giving your favorite kindred boons or banes, potentially giving them gifts or items, to helping me write and facilitate the plot, to actually coming onto the platform and embodying your favorite NPC as one of these characters, all the way down to we have merch that is going to be coming out that was designed by freaking Tracey, which is absolutely brilliant. You're looking at our campaign logo right now in the center of the overlay. Tracey, massive thank you for creating that for us. She was just like messing around in our group chat. It's like, hey guys, I kind of spun this up, and we all went, no, that's a real thing now. Can that be a real thing? We're going to make that a real thing now. It's absolutely a real thing now. So definitely follow us on Patreon or jump onto Symphony's Discord. It's the best way to connect with the cast, to connect with the episodes, and to kind of get a read on what's coming down the pipeline. Okay, guys. Red lines have been discussed with the cast and crew. The X card is in play. X's can be sent via private message, or it can be done visibly where I can see it on screen. If a safety tool is activated, there is no judgment passed. There are no questions asked. We will also be using the green, yellow, red traffic light method, which can be called by any cast member at any time. Without further ado, let us unveil our cast. Cast members, please introduce yourselves. Tell us who you are and where people can find you. And we're going to start with Doc.
Hi, everybody. I'm Doc. I'm playing Connor tonight, the Ventru. You can find me on the Symphony Discords and most other Discords for tabletop gaming. I pop up in just about all of them at any given time. Also, if you want to find things I write, check out my Linktree, linktree.com/DocBones. I got a bunch of stuff there, including a carryover sale from Chaosium Con. You can still get that fantastic deal. 4 scenarios for only $5. Check it out, support it. All my social media's there. Feel free to find me there.
Oh, you're amazing. Thank you, Doc. Let's hop it over to Tiffany.
Hi, I'm Tiffany. You can find me on all social medias as Color Cat Designs. I have art and other goodies there. I have been on other podcasts and other things, so you can find me on the internets almost anywhere.
Yes, Tiffany. Definitely check out her skulls. They're top shelf. They're just an entire vibe. And Tracey, hit us, baby.
Hello, I am Tracy, and you can find me pretty much anywhere under Mythical Magpie. I do art and sometimes blog, and sometimes when my ADHD brain allows me, I do other things. So Mythical Magpie is pretty much everywhere. So
Stunning, 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 stunning. Okay, Cass, we ready to hop in?
Yep.
I know. Tracy's face is the embodiment of how I feel in this moment too. Oh, I love you guys. Thank you for being here, and I will see you on the back end of this recording. I love you guys. Let us hop in. First and foremost, for Sanguine Arch, we are going to revisit, re-embody, and articulate with exacting clarity what the chronicle tenets are for this game. Tracy.
Never endanger or betray the domain. Our community is stronger together.
Unapologetically defend the traditions. They keep us safe. Ambition is rewarded. Liabilities are destroyed.
It's been almost 2 months since you were all gathered on Elysium grounds at Edwin's funeral home, where you heard the news of the chantry in Vienna falling, when you experienced a monumental event that changes everything about your society, about how you feel about safety, where you actually are on the food pyramid. A monumental event that has changed everything. It was just under 2 months ago. The evening following that Elysium, Harpy Nia Glass claimed praxis of the domain of Columbus, Ohio. She stood uncontested. Former Prince Stephen Yu was not present when Prince Glass demanded that he be presented before the court. Various members of his clan Toreador, confessed that he had fled the domain on that same evening, just as the news was about to hit about Vienna. That was the night that each of you witnessed your first blood hunt be declared on a former Prince of Columbus. Nia Glass wouldn't tolerate that level of cowardice. It violates your chronicle tenets. Never endanger or betray the domain. Our community is stronger together. Former Prince Yu made a choice. So Prince Glass made a choice. Her words still echo as a reminder of what happens if you abandon Columbus under her praxis. His cowardice is the ultimate betrayal. He left us when we needed him the most. For those who may be unfamiliar, I'm just going to articulate from the By Night Studios book. When a prince wishes to make a public spectacle of a vampire's destruction, she invokes a blood hunt. Those who are subject of the blood hunt are viciously chased down and killed by their fellows. Even thin bloods, even anarchs, even independent kindred are invited to pursue the hunted. Anything goes with a blood hunt. Even the diablerie on the hunted is permitted. Again, that was going on 2 months ago. Your lives and your inner circles are changing, as well as the lives of the wider ecosystem surrounding you. We are going to start this game with rouse checks. This is an optional rule in By Night Studios. I'm going to trial it out now, and I may decide I hate it and we don't do it again. But for right now, we are going to try it every single night. When you wake up, your blood is roused in a way that brings all of your systems online. It checks in with your hunger to see how you're feeling, how you're doing, and it allows you to come out of this forced sleep that your curse and the sun puts you under. So we are actually going to throw a chop right now. I'm going to double check on this one right now. On a win or a tie, you have successfully kept your hunger controlled. On a loss, your hunger is actually going to increase by 1. Unless I am mistaken, everyone here has a resting hunger of 1. Unless you drain a human completely, you cannot see 0 again. So you are constantly sitting at a state of hunger. We are getting ready to throw a group chop. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to see those hands. So you guys ready? All right, here's your rouse check. We are throwing chops in 3, 2, 1, throw them. Oh, okay. So if I'm looking at this correctly, Doc is the only one. Doc is the only one who succeeded. on the rouse check, and it looks like Leah, or let me correct that, Connor is the only one who succeeded, and it looks like Leah and Ivy both failed. Okay, this is, again, an optional rule. We're going to see how this works. You two have failed your rouse check. For Leah and Ivy, your hunger immediately goes up to 2. So for this day, and because this is going to be a weird quote unquote day for us, because this might be a course of a week for some of your characters, it might be the course of a month, we're just going to go ahead and gloss that over for the day for this recording. Once we get into the more minutia of waking up every single day, we'll address that more. But as of right now, both of your hungers are sitting at 2, but it doesn't stop there. Now we need to actually address your hunger and your hunting, because the first thing you do when you wake up is you're going to need to nourish yourself, because a hungry vampire is a liability. And while Tracey just read our Chronicle Tenets aloud, we understand how liabilities are to be addressed in this domain. So let's start with Doc, and we are going to do a very, very brief scene on hunting. So I need you to make a feeding challenge with me right now. You ready to throw?
Ready to throw.
All right, baby. We're going in 3, 2, 1.
Wow.
Oh, okay. So you lost this one. Oh, you made
Lost
the
that
rouse
one.
check only to lose the
Well, it
hunting check.
happens.
Okay, so failing a feeding challenge may cause complications and further risk to the character as determined by the storyteller. I could up your hunger to 3, or we can kind of address it depending on how your feeding scene goes. I need these to be succinct, to the point, and go. These aren't long scenes that I want to explore, because we're going to be doing these at the start of every game. So, Doc, the very first question I have for Connor is, where does Connor wake? Where do they sleep? Do they sleep in a coffin? Do they sleep in a bed? What does their haven look like? When the sun sets and you rise, what do we see?
You see a very well-adorned bedroom, king-size bed, small dresser in the corner. It looks as if you'd see about a 3 or 4 bedroom apartment size building from the outside. Although it's moderate in size, it is full of the finest appliances. These sheets are of the highest quality, as is expected of a Ventru.
Mm-hmm.
And when he wakes, he simply says, I sit out of bed and I wait for my ferryman ghoul to bring me my meal for the beginning of the evening.
Okay, you said ferryman ghoul. Break that down for someone who doesn't understand what that means.
Sure. So Connor has a ghoul in his employ that brings him people on which to feed rather than hunting them himself.
Okay.
It's beneath me to go out myself and find a victim. I rely on Gerard to bring them to me, and they're brought in appropriately in a stupor or tricked to believe that they're being given some sort of reward for their participation. And upon arrival, I will simply administer the kiss to their neck, sending them into a euphoric bliss, allowing me to slake some of my hunger, and then release them before the effects wear off. Gerard is very formal in taking them out.
What does Gerard look like? And how does Gerard feel about his, I would say, service, but if this is your ghoul, if this is your thrall, it's really more like slavery. So how does he feel about his bondage to you?
He is not my first ghoul. I mean, having been a vampire for nearly 30 years, every now and again, these ghouls just happen to disappear for whatever reason. So he may not be operating from a position of believing he can leave, but having heard of the past of what's happened, he knows that if he were to step out of line, things would get very bad for him.
Understood.
And so he delivers more out of a fear and respect, and knowing that I'm not somebody that he wants to cross.
I'm just going to push you on that question.
Oh, please
Connor.
do.
Is it you that he doesn't want to cross, or is it Mr. Prim that he doesn't want to cross?
It's Mr. Prim.
Thank you for that clarity.
But I'm presenting this air that he knows that he is beneath me, and therefore, by extension, he is also beneath Mr. Prim.
And by extension, you're learning to play with toys the way that you're consistently played with.
Of course.
Generational trauma does have a tendency to, well, cross generations. What does Gerard look like? Or, Doc, would you like to tee that up to either Tracey or Tiffany to describe? Dealer's choice.
I have a vision for him.
Let's hear it.
He tends to be, he looks very jovial. out and about, wearing a Hawaiian shirt. His hair is on the longer side, parted down the middle, wears some glasses. And as soon as he approaches my haven, his demeanor changes. He goes from this smiling individual out and about, almost a fear becomes a mask of his own as he walks in, knowing that although I am not necessarily the one that he fears, he knows that if he were to come in smiling and happy, the first question would be, what are you smiling about? Because truly, hurt people, and he knows that I'm one of those people that would twist the knife for him.
Understood. So Gerard, there we go. Gerard arrives with this evening's menu. This is another quick question that I have for you, Doc. You are a Ventru, and Ventru have very particular appetites. They have very particular tastes. Per the curse of your blood, you can't simply feed on anyone. Your menu is limited. Perhaps you can only feed on individuals who are in the military, or women that have blue eyes, or only people who practice a certain type of faith, or a certain race or weight. It's a refined palate. What is your prey exclusion? What is that, Bane?
My prey exclusion is that I only feed on the best of the best in Columbus. We're not taking people from a back alley and simply draining them of blood to slake hunger. That would be beneath me. You don't serve a Big Mac to somebody who deserves Wagyu beef.
So what is the best of the best? Define that for us.
The upper class, if you will, people who have just fed on a refined meal in one of the finest restaurants in Columbus. It ensures that what I am feeding upon is somebody who's also experienced the best, because they know of the finer things in life.
Noted.
Usually Gerard will bring them in promising a meet and greet with a celebrity, perhaps, or some other appropriate invitation for their station, only for them to realize that that's not the case. But they'll never remember.
I'm going to push you a little bit more on this one, Doc, because a Ventru's prey exclusion needs to be more specific than they enjoyed a 5-star meal.
Okay, upper class people.
Push you.
Yeah, so I would say the people who, let's say they have at least a few extra zeros in their bank account level people. The upper class.
Okay. So we're looking at someone that is at least earning or has access to a 6-figure income?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay.
After all, the best deserve the best, don't they?
That's certainly what Mr. Prim would say.
Well, one can say I've learned my lessons from him well.
Tracey, I'm going to tee you up here as a co-storyteller. Doc failed his feeding check. Something went wrong. Gerard brings a meal to Connor and something goes wrong. Talk me through what it was. We don't have to do a full scene on him because I want these to hit fast, but just give me the arc of what went wrong.
He brought him what he asked for, the best of the best. And Gerard, I think, is diligent in his job. But what I suspect he might not have noticed is that the person that he brought with him is someone of import, someone who will be missed, even for an hour. A politician that's up for re-election and is trying very hard to stay on the up and up. He'll be missed.
Doc, how do you feel about that one? Because that's actually really brilliant.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that.
That's amazing complication. This is definitely one of those things, again, I would love to do a full scene on, but I want these feeding scenes as we do them to start hitting fast. So I'm going to tee this back to you, Doc. How do you reconcile the fact that someone is coming looking for, I don't know, do we want to call this a senator, a mayor-elect?
Let's go with a senator.
A commissioner? Okay.
Senator seems good.
Okay.
So as I go to feed and realize this is somebody that I can no longer enjoy my meal. This is no longer an enjoyable waking and feeding. This is I have to feed and get this person out of here as fast as humanly possible.
Okay.
And so after trying to feed very quickly, I will be raising my left hand, which is notably missing the middle finger,
Okay.
and striking Gerard across the face and shouting at him, "What? I thought I taught you better. How dare you?" And then immediately shove the meat out the door.
Your blissed out meat with a quick memory alteration is shoved out of the door, but this is something that we are going to wind up revisiting. And I'm going to say you don't get any nourishment from this one, so your hunger goes up to 3.
Up to 3 or to 2, because I was at
Up to
1
2,
before.
up to 2. Sorry.
Okay, I was gonna say we're in 3 off of that. Damn.
Wait a second. Damn. No, it's the other ladies that failed their lives miserably on that one.
Yeah, send them to 3. Don't send me to 3.
Ooh. Okay. Someone that people would notice gone missing is just brutal, Tracy. That is chef kiss. That's stunning. And we're actually going to run to Tracy now. Leah, it's been a complicated 2 months for you. For every reason that we can imagine and for every reason that I don't even know how to begin to articulate. But the question is still the same, at least here as we come together for one of the first times as a full table. When the sun sets and you rise, where do we find Leah? What does Leah's haven or their home or their sleeping arrangements look like when they first open their eyes? What do we see?
It's a stark contrast to the best of the best.
Yeah.
Even a stark contrast to where she was just a few short months ago with Edmund and Gloria. They were living in a Ventrue estate too. And now that she is with Justice, they find their home essentially in a rundown area of the city, someplace that even squatters don't want to go to. They probably sleep in, I wouldn't necessarily say it was infested, but it isn't nice. She's used to that though. Mm-hmm. She's had a trailer that had no heat, that had no water. And for a few short months, she had an estate. And so we find ourselves probably waking up in some basement in a rundown, split home, probably somewhere in the south of Columbus, even there that's been largely abandoned. And she just knows that that's where she is for now. And that's what she's got to do. Yeah.
That's where she is for now. I respect that optimism. Tracy, you and I are going to be throwing a hunting chop right now. We're going to do a feeding chop. You ready for me?
Woof. Yep.
Yeah. We got it, baby. We're going to throw in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Oh, we both got scissors. Okay. This is great. So we tied. Okay, really fast. I have this down. The DC is a 6, and your hunting pool is described in your predator type. So your predator type, I think, is what? Farming?
It is.
What's your pool?
My hunting is composure plus animal ken.
Okay.
So that is 2.
That is not a 6.
That's not a 6.
That is not a 6. So something went wrong. Let's start talking me through it. This is going to be one of the things, again, I don't want to do full scenes here. These are just quick hunting scenes. You know that when you rise, as does Justice has a job to do. He is the scourge for Prince Nia Glass. This is an institution that she has brought back. He is going to spend the duration of his night killing people just like you. He has taught you to feed, because there is something isolating about the fact that there are no other thin bloods here in Columbus. There's no thin bloods you think maybe in the state. The only thin bloods that are known are the remnants of the deceased that come back on Justice's clothes or his blades or his shotgun and things of that nature. So you're learning from your own mistakes, your own experience, and doing the best that you can. Talk me through what went wrong with your feeding.
So Justice made a point of teaching her how to feed. He doesn't want her to be another embarrassment, a further embarrassment. And she got a job at a nearby homesteading farm.
Okay.
Because they have large animals there. However,
yeah.
I suspect that in my rush to get away from him, he's been kind to me in ways that maybe don't look kind, but he spared me. And he went out of his way to do that. He didn't have to. And so I have to be grateful for that. But I want to get away from him as quickly as I can most days.
Yeah.
Nights. And in my hurry to get to the farm, to sink my fangs into a cow that will not necessarily fulfill me, but will feed me. Mm-hmm. I think my hunger probably gets the best of me.
Okay.
And I don't quite make it to the farm that night.
Do you want to continue, or do you want to tee that up to another co-storyteller to...
I am fine dishing out what I just dished out to
Tiffany or Doc, either of you guys want to take that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So as you are driving out to the farm and your tummy is rumbling away, there's like a lot of wooded area, and you see on the side of the road, there's a deer with broken legs. And so out of hunger, you see that and you smell the blood and you stop your car without putting the hazards on and jump out and feed right then and there.
Oof.
Oh, that's so bad. Tracey, you want to take narrative after that?
Sure.
I mean, finish off the scene?
There are traditions, which I must unapologetically defend.
Yes.
Feeding in public's pretty bad. However,
pretty bad.
I think she will do her level best to try and drag some of it off a little bit so that it's not at least right in the lights of her car, her own car. And if anyone stops her, she will have one of those hunting knives. And she'll have an excuse ready once it's been done. But she doesn't know in that moment of hunger, did anyone see her? So the best that she can do is try and cover up by cutting it up and taking pieces of it after it's already been drained.
You carve up an emptied carcass. It wasn't even satisfying, but it'll at least get the job done. As the first headlight begins to blink, and then by the time you finish dismantling this creature, the second headlight blinks out. You're able to stuff the pieces into your trunk. There are plenty of places that you can drop these bloodless limbs. And by the time you get into the driver's seat of your vehicle, that trench that you rolled into when you leapt out of your vehicle, when your hunger was driving stronger than you were, the car doesn't turn over. You're going to need a tow. You're going to need someone to come and get you. And you have a bloodless carcass in the back of your trunk. Close us out with, who do you call to get your car back online, to get this tow or to get this repaired?
I have two options that come to my mind immediately, and they're both bad.
Yeah.
This is just my luck. I could call Gloria or I could call Justice. And I think I call Gloria. because despite the fact that she doesn't have any love lost for me, I think that she would be the lesser of the two troubles. I know that maybe I could promise to help her or do something for her in exchange. Right now, I know the best way to get in touch with Justice is to call his beeper.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing I want to do if he's on the job.
You call Gloria. And Gloria answers. Tiffany, are you ready for me?
Yep.
She's like, no.
Right.
Maybe you will have the one successful feeding scene this episode, babe. Because at this point, I could just run game on how you guys botch your own eating. Fucking neonates. Okay, babe. This hurts to ask you. When Ivy wakes up 2 months following that Elysia, 1 month and 2 weeks following another event, where do we see Ivy waking up? Where does Ivy sleep? What is her haven? What do we see when the sun goes down and you come up?
She lives in like a basement apartment, like 2-bedroom apartment. So like really the only like windows are like little ones like up at the top of the wall, or you got the, the like garden level, like recessed, like patio or whatever. So it's got sliding doors. One of the bedrooms is completely full of knives, swords, and everything lining the walls. Just full. She has a full armory at her disposal. And other than that, her apartment looks like a white, sterile, like they could advertise this apartment on their website for other people to buy. Like there's no pictures, there's no nothing. It's just everything's white, everything's stark. And the locked room with the weapons.
Woof. Okay. Let's talk about your feeding. You ready for this hunting check with me?
Sure.
All right. You're just like, no. All right, baby, we're going to throw it in. 3, 2, 1. Oh, you won! Yay! Yes! We have one person that succeeded on a hunger check today. Everyone else is screwing the domain in themselves. Okay, talk us through your your predator type and how you had a successful hunt today or tonight.
She is an extortionist.
Okay.
So she probably has a few people that she's been working on and then starts up new relationships with others. She has a contact that is a court judge. So she knows people that have already been in and out of the system. So she gets into their lives and starts, talking about the things she knows and how they don't want to go back to jail or they don't want to go back to court. So in that way, she makes them keep secrets by feeding on them for as long as she can.
Nice. Okay. Stay with narrative really fast and just give us a brief description on how you successfully ate this evening.
I probably rolled up to, a particular building that I know, people don't really look in, they don't pay attention to their neighbors. Everybody's just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And I knock on the door. And when that door opens, that person looks at me and sighs. And I step in and I tell them that if you do not want to wind up in court again, there is a payment to be made. And then I feed from them.
Well done. I love the sigh and the door closing as your next victim makes a payment in literal blood. But it keeps him out of court that following night. Extortionists are very effective in that particular effort. You've had non-effective nights or ineffective nights, but tonight was a good night for you. Well done, guys. So just let me do a quick hunger audit. Connor, you're sitting at 2. Okay. Leah, I believe you're sitting at 2 as well.
Yeah, I don't think you said I didn't actually get any hunger slaked. Yeah.
No. I'll give you drained an entire deer. Your complication is coming from the fact that you just had to have Gloria come and clean up your mess.
Woof.
Yep. And wolf. And Ivy, you're just sitting at 2 as well, right? Just one. You made your rouse check and your hunting check. At least one of you guys.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
you did the hunting. I don't know about the
rouse check was the group one that we did.
Oh,
So you'd be at 1.
No,
then.
I
Up to
failed
2, then
that
down
one.
to 1.
Oh, okay, so you're at 2. Okay.
no,
Okay.
I was at 2, but I went down to 1
Up then
because
down.
of my feeding, right?
No, these are just straight out the gate. You lost the hunger getting up, and then yes, so you're back down to 1. You're correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Woo! So those are
Carl,
going to
get that in post.
Prepare for those at the start of every game. I don't know if I'm going to be as harsh with the rouse checks each time, but every game is going to start with a hunger check because I could build nonstop story on just you guys fucking up eating dinner in the morning or eating dinner at night.
Patreon backer episode is us just trying to eat for
Trying
an
to
hour.
Right.
Just desperately trying to eat.
Just trying to eat. And per
Just
the notes that I
fucking
left
each other over with it.
with just trying to eat. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I love co-storytellers. Again, per the notes in our character channel, let me know the second you hit 3 hunger because suddenly everything changes with all of the mechanics as soon as you guys get to 3 hunger. Okay.
Do I get more powerful?
I mean, that's a word for it.
Oh, the puppy's gonna bite somebody.
I was gonna say,
Sure.
it certainly gets more colorful if you want to equate power and color. Yeah, we can definitely do it that way. Yep, I absolutely agree. That will work for you. Okay, we are going to start back over here with Doc. And again, this episode, as I explained in the pre-show, is not going to be the day-to-day as much as this is just kind to reframe who these characters are for now.
Sure.
Connor.
Yes.
You have a little girl. Well,
Mhm.
you had a little girl. She's, in her 30s by now? She hasn't seen you since you were embraced. That's just a standard masquerade thing. She's aging, but you're not. But in many ways, you still see Isabel, whether that's reporting that comes back to you, whether that's just following her financials online, whether that's just remote gifts, or whether that's letters, physical letters that are being exchanged back and forth. I do want to ask you, what does that relationship look like with your daughter who hasn't seen your face in 30 years? Does she think you're dead? Does she know that you're alive? I just want to explore what that relationship looks like from your perspective.
She definitely does not know that I'm still alive.
Okay.
Or unalive, I guess is the appropriate term. What she remembers from that night was Daddy went out for a meeting with Mr. Prim and then never came back. And the news, they ran the story that a well-known drug dealer had disappeared, but as is one of my flaws, even 30 years later, people are still talking about they thought they saw somebody, they thought they saw a known corpse just walking around. And she gets those stories, she sees them, and she knows deep down that I failed her as a father. Even though I've been trying for these 30 years to just try to bring something back. I make sure anything that I send is anonymous because I don't want her to come looking for me. Every now and again, it'll be just an envelope of money with a note from a friend, or even checking on her financials. If she looks like she's getting short on money for rent, a deposit just happens to appear that she can't explain. I've been trying for these last 30 years to make right by her for what I took from her in her childhood of having a father figure. And I know no matter what I do, it's never going to be enough, but I keep trying.
Wow, that's really heartbreaking, Doc. Can I tee up Isabel's living situation and profession to another player, or do you want to keep it?
I'd say tee it up to somebody else.
I just really love when Tracey messes with you, but I'm going to tee this one up over to Tiffany, or I'm just going to ask who wants it. Which of you two wants it? There's an even better question. I just want to.
Who wants to hurt me?
Yeah, who wants to hurt Doc today?
I'm
This is
happy to let Tiffy get a turn. Yes.
We're going to trade off. Tiffany, this
Okay.
is just his daughter, because I know you haven't seen his intro episode yet. That hasn't aired yet. So this is his daughter that he hasn't had a relationship with in 30 years. What
Okay.
is her situation? Is she married with kids? Is she working on her doctorate? What city is she in? She can't be in Columbus, but outside of that, go for it.
I was we started in New York when I left.
Yep.
That's funny because I was just going to say New Jersey.
So she didn't go far. She went south.
Yeah,
she didn't go far.
So she's probably living in New Jersey. She is a nurse at the local hospital, and she doesn't have any kids because of her hours and because she's constantly taking care of other people. She's very compassionate, does her job well. There might be a relationship, but I don't know that she speaks about it much. So you may not know that she does. And she has a tendency to work and work and work until she is forced by her body to take time off.
That was a great description, by the way, Tiffany. Watching someone through their financial pulse is definitely an interesting way to observe a life. You're ventru. That's not uncommon, at least for you. You can piece together certain narratives. You can watch when her checks stop. You can watch when she goes through a shutdown. You can watch when she gets admitted into a certain facility and is offline for several days, perhaps a week. You can watch when she gets released from these facilities. You know that the pandemic was particularly unforgiving on Isabel. She threw herself at that crisis as hard as she could, and she irrevocably suffered because of it. Compassion fatigue is a very real thing, Connor, and I don't know whether you can relate to that or if you even recognize that as a real entity. But she, Isabel, is nearing a point where paying her rent up for 6 months as this phantom beneficiary might not be enough to bridge the gaps that are happening in her soul because she keeps over giving more than she actually can afford.
I'll make sure for the next well, I'll call it a dead drop of sorts, of just a delivery to her. There's a note that says, "Don't lose yourself in your work because it's very hard to find that again." And I'll make sure that it's a typed note, so there's no handwriting to trace, anything like that. And I wrap the money in that with a rubber band and make sure that she gets that note, because I know what it's like to lose yourself in your work, and you lose the things that matter the most.
Stunning. Absolutely stunning. Let's hop over to who wants to get picked on next. Do we want to pick on Ivy or do we want to pick on Leah isn't even looking at the camera. Tracey, I love that you're just like, what are we doing right now? We want to go explore.
Tim is like, hurt me.
Yeah, I guess we'll give Tracey some room.
That's amazing. So we're hopping over to Ivy.
Yeah.
No, this is absolutely amazing. Ivy, you and I need to do a chop. I'm not going to articulate what it's for yet. It may come up in these 2 episodes, but because it hasn't been viewed by the cast, I will try to maintain some of that. You and I just need to throw a quick chop. You ready for me?
Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1. You beat me. Oh, no, I beat you. Damn it.
Yep.
Okay. You lose that particular challenge, which just means you don't have access to those disciplines for the time being, which isn't terrible. But we do need to have a discussion of what humanity lost looks like for you.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to pull up the Laws of the Knight's book right now. Actually, I'm going to pull up the Bible that Carl made for us. What was your humanity prior to the event?
7.
You were at a 7 humanity. I just want to bring our viewers together. So a regular human, this is at a humanity 7, a regular human operates at about this level. as do most new kindred. There's room for selfishness and bending some societal rules, but you're not just, inclined to attack people just to work out your rage. They may use Blush of Life. This is a way to make you look and appear more human, where your skin isn't as dead and cold. It actually has blood running through it. You can keep food and drink down for perhaps an hour. You can even fake sexual intercourse. Humanity 7 is a warm and fuzzy place that you no longer have access to, because you dropped to a Humanity 6. I just want to sit with you for a moment to explore how you navigated that drop, where you've grown insensitive to human concerns, where you aren't necessarily seeking violence, but if people do get hurt or killed, so be it. That's life. It's happened. I want to just sit with you and explore what that looks like when you lose that point of humanity.
Well, I think part of it is, so she had to do a lot more compartmentalizing, because her being a former mercenary, even before she was embraced, she had to compartmentalize people and targets. I think now there isn't a compartment anymore. I think they're all just targets. I think so in her mind, that bridge is broken. So she doesn't see these targets as people or undead, depending on her target. She doesn't see them having personalities. She doesn't see them feeling, or the people that might be affected or anything like that. Now she is more more of, this is a target, period, and done. I think also, with her trauma on top of that, I think she just has less compassion overall for anyone.
Does that include compassion for yourself?
Yes, very much so.
As you are in your side room with all of your decorative knives, some of them are ornamental, some of them are functional, some of them are gifts. You received a stunning set from your sire upon the successful conclusion of your ritual of subjugation. There's also a branded plaque with a certain poem that he gifted you. I don't know if you have that mounted or not, but he did gift it to you. He would expect it to be mounted if he ever visited, but that's, well, we know how Moses is. But as you are gearing up for the day, your contracts are coming back in. You're getting good contracts now. You've proven yourself to your clan. You've proven yourself to the domain. You are just getting ready to turn out of this room as you fasten that last hooked blade into a sheath on the small of your back, and you can smell him. You can smell the clove. You can smell the cinnamon. And it's a scent and a memory and a presence that's sitting in your periphery. And you hear Angel's voice. You have to show compassion to yourself. You weren't given a choice. This happens pretty frequently. You got as close as you could to another person.
She probably, to make that stop, will slam her fist into like the marble countertop that is in that room, because she has marble, so you can have sharpening stones. Also, if there's blood, it washes off easier. But yeah. So then she can focus on her knuckles being sore, than have to hear that.
The pain in your knuckles radiates through your bones and your wrist. You jammed your wrist a bit on that one. It toggled the room, and that slab slides to the floor, and you just see a piece of it. I am cast down and cannot lift my face. Sorrow is my garment, and repentance my song. But the voice stops. and you're able to move on with the rest of your night.
Maybe. I mean, yes, but no.
No. Moments of peace in this game, that's not why we signed up to play. Leah.
Yes, ma'am.
Everything is fine. Everything is
fine.
Absolutely fine. Absolutely nothing can go wrong.
Nope.
We are all safe and happy together. Everything
I have nothing
is good.
but good luck.
Nothing but good luck. Everything is absolutely positively fine. We are good. We are good. We are good.
We good?
We're good?
Back?
So yeah, we're good. So Leah, there are a few places that you and I can explore together, but there's one deep question that I need to address with you. So I'm going to tee up this scene versus the Gloria scene, because I think we're going to do a separate episode with you, Gloria, and Justice trying to figure out exactly where ownership and employment is going to work, because you are under the accounting of Justice at this point. There's a possibility that you could switch your accounting back over to Gloria, but something just tells you that Prince Glass isn't going to go for it. There's just, Justice knows it, you know it, you don't know why, but there's something that deeply either amuses her with you being where you are, or there's a political reason for it. Knowing Prince Glass, it's very likely both. I have a quick question for you. You are a duskborn, which means you can actually go out in the sunlight, sort of. You take a single point of damage when you're completely exposed, but you can at least be awake during daytime. You can move about in the sun as long as you've learned some hacks to kind of help ease your way, because you have a daytime life. It's just another way that you're different from everyone else here. You do have a daytime life. You have daytime expectations. You have a daytime presence. You have people who are depending on you during the day. So my first question for you before we launch the scene, how are you sleeping? What is your typical awake and down schedule? Because you're straddling two different worlds simultaneously. You got to find a way to mitigate the sunlight somehow, or just give me an idea of what your hours are, what your waking hours are, and then also how you do move about during the day in Columbus.
I think that for a large part of the first couple of months, I try to keep a vampire schedule.
Okay.
Largely because Justice is trying to teach me how to be a vampire, even though I'm really not. But I'm also not a human. And so I think for the first couple of months, she just tries to keep a vampire schedule. But there are things she has to do. She does want to get a job. She wants to, not only just so that she has access to feed, because she's fed off of people. Like, that's not, like, Justice has insisted on it. Because he does not want her to know what it is not like to feed from people.
Yeah.
However, she hates it. She absolutely hates it. And while we've got Connor, who feeds from the best of the best, the top of the tier of society, Justice is probably more along the lines of get what you can get.
Yeah.
You know, the people in the streets, a drunk guy who's hitting on women who do not want to be hit on at a bar. But really, she hates it even then. And so she got a job at a sort of small scale farm.
Yeah, this homestead. Yeah.
Yep. And so she works there during some of the day. She's happy to clean out stalls where other people would hate that job, because she's awake during the day, but she's also covered. She's inside the stalls. She's under, the barn's roof. So she's away from the hottest parts of the sun. But as her months progress, she's got to find a way to straddle. So I would say during the hottest parts of the day, she sleeps. And then again, when the sun starts to set, she sleeps a little bit more, because she knows very soon Justice and the rest of the vampire society will wake. So I think she sleeps twice.
Okay.
Never fully restful, never fully, asleep, really. And she gets, again, like her food, she gets what she can when she can.
Oh, you're straddling so many things in so many directions and unsuccessfully in each of them. Noted. There was a big meeting at the rehab facility in New Albany regarding your mom. It was at 3 p.m. Columbus is enjoying spring at this point. You enjoyed a full week of gloomy, cold days because it's Columbus. It's hot, then it's cold, and then it's hot. But of course, the day that you had this meeting, this staff meeting regarding the next step on your mother's care, Columbus decided to yawn and we reawaken with hot, scorching days. It was one of those days where it was 75 at 3 o'clock and your body just couldn't tolerate the idea of waking up. So you missed that meeting. When you do finally wake, as your body is unsuccessfully trying to understand what schedule it should be operating on, as your internal felt sense is trying to understand which society you're supposed to be living in. Because you're a member of both, but excluded and rejected from both simultaneously. There are a series of missed calls and texts from Kathy Simmons. Mama Kathy. And you know that you need to get to that rehab facility as soon as you can.
Yeah. I think the second she realizes it, it's just nothing but fuck, 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 fuck. And then it's just a rush. And as she's like throwing on her like hoodie, because it's still probably pretty hot, and you know, she throws on her hoodie, she throws on her gloves, she covers as much of herself as she can, and tries to find a Dollar Tree umbrella that she grabs. And she probably has them like squirreled away all over the place, just in case she's caught someplace without cover. And is calling Mama Kathy while she's kind of running to her jalopy to get to where she needs to be.
The very first outgoing ping, the phone answers immediately. Rosalia, where are you? Are you okay?
I'm sorry. I was late from work. I'm so sorry. I'm on my way. Did I miss everything? Can you tell the doctor to stay?
And there's a pause, and baby girl, the meeting's over. They brought in an entire team. There were doctors and surgeons and social workers, and the team from the financial department. I took notes. I took the best notes that I can. I just, are you okay?
Yeah, Mama, I'm fine. I'm so sorry. I'll be there, and then we can talk about it. Do they need more money? Is that what they said? They said they need probably.
Yeah. And I've tried. I didn't. I'm in the room right now, and I am watching Fox 6, and it looks like there's an accident on 71 South, so just please be careful, and I'll see you soon, okay?
Okay, Mama, I love you.
I love you. Get something to eat before you get here. You've just been looking so pale lately.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Be safe. Remember the accident on 71. I'll see you soon.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Fuck.
Walking into the assisted rehab facility, when you originally moved your mom here, you had access to wealth that you couldn't even imagine. This is one of the finest facilities in New Albany. They have it set up like an internal neighborhood. So even when you walk in, you're met with opulence and comfort and hope. They have a standard greeter. This is one of the facilities that, like, even when you go into the restrooms, that's not something you need to use anymore, that they have attendants that come in and out to support you. They're just very high end on the way that they roll out everything from the decadence of their meals to the cleanliness to the professionalism of their staff. Everything is made from a point of comfort. And something else that you've noticed, from a place of abandonment. This is a place where you can send the people you don't want to deal with anymore and pay a ticket price where someone else can mollycoddle that affection. This is not one of those facilities that sees many visitors, because this is a facility that you pay enough where you can forget certain burdens. But you don't view your family as a burden. So you're one of the individuals that, like, when you walk in, the staff is starting to recognize you as a person of compassion that genuinely does care. You're able to go through the first and second neighborhood, and you're able to run your way around to your mother's suite. When you arrive, she's sleeping. She's been doing a lot of that lately. Mama Kathy is there. And the second you walk into this room, she stands and you can see the tears welling up in her eyes. And she just immediately crosses the room and embraces you. Hey.
Hi. I'll just hug her for a minute. I'll try to be quiet because I don't want to wake up Mom. I'm so sorry I missed it. I'm really sorry. I know you needed me here. It won't happen again, okay?
Okay. I know. It's okay. And I know you're working. I know you're working so hard. It's okay. She's pulling the hair out of your face and she's running her thumbs beneath those bags underneath your eyes. She says, let's talk. Let's go talk. Do you want tea?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. I bet you they have really nice tea here.
Oh, it's the best. It's all organic. And she goes through this entire list of just how bougie their tea is. They don't have bagged tea here. This is all fresh, steeped, blah, 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 blah teas you've never heard a name of. I mean, they're very particular where, their black teas are separated from their green teas, but they don't acknowledge herbal teas as teas because they're not teas. But it's a whole situation. But Mama Kathy takes you to one of the little private lounge areas and shuts the door. And she sits down and she looks to you and she says, you make good decisions. You always make good decisions, even with really terrible and really bad circumstances. And we've been in a lot of really terrible and really bad circumstances for a long time. So I wasn't going to ask these questions. I wasn't going to put you in the spot, but I think ignoring it further is hurting all of us. So are you okay? And her eyes fall to that massive scar that you have wrapped around your face, that crescent moon wound. Because when you first populated with it, neither of your mothers acknowledged it. They just let it go. They just let it go. We're at the point where she can no longer let that go.
I think the only place that she really tries to cover it is here. First of all, because here it doesn't have the significance it does. If I hide it elsewhere, I'm hiding who I am. Mm-hmm. And that is essentially also a crime. I am a crime. And I think to other people, she has let, when she got her job, when she's trying to do some odd jobs for other people that are human, I think that she kind of jokes, that she finally got free of a cult. She alludes to that fact, but then plays it off. She doesn't like lying. She hates lying. But also, she has to protect the traditions. The Masquerade is the biggest one. So I think outside of her immediate family, she lets people she sees during the day think that she was in a cult, or she alludes to that and lets them make their own conclusions. But says that she doesn't feel comfortable talking about it.
Okay.
Right here, right now, she is going to have to lie to the people she never lies to. She's lied about not being hungry before to her mothers. She's lied about not feeling too cold. She's lied that it doesn't hurt her that as she grew up, they couldn't wash her clothes as much as they could, that she was always a little dirty and was made fun of. She lied that those things didn't hurt her as much as they did. And she thought then, as a child, that was protecting her moms.
Mm-hmm.
This must protect her moms. And while I think that she has tried to prepare for this conversation, she has thought of only one thing that her mothers would not ask too much about. And she takes a moment to solidify this lie in her mouth and cannot look her mother in the eye when she says, I just needed to feel something to make sure that I remembered I was alive. It sounded like a good idea at the time.
There's a choke and a sob. She does her core best not to start weeping in this chair. And she lifts up from the lounger that she's in. She's slower getting out of chairs nowadays, but that happens as the world around you ages and you don't. And she sits next to you. And a very similar gesture that she did when you were a child, when you felt alone, excluded, discarded, unwanted by the children around you for mostly reasons that were completely out of your control. She'd do this exact same gesture. Doc, what is this gesture that she does? This repeating, grounding gesture that this mother does to her child to make her feel not alone.
She puts her hand on her cheek and just very gently tugs at her ear a little bit. It's subtle, but it was always there that when you needed it. And you see, as soon as you saw that hand going to your face, you knew it was coming.
And she would just lean into it. Something familiar, warm and comforting. And she has to not cry. She can't cry because she knows what it will look like when she cries. She'll save that for later.
What a horrifying realization to reconcile. The safest place you have to cry is now the most dangerous place that you could cry. Because you're not one of us, but you still shed vitae when you weep. Crying in front of this woman would doom her to death. So you have to hold that together. At some point over the following days, you all are called to another gathering by Prince Nia Glass. The emergency beacon goes out, and you are all summoned to a location. Tiffanie, where are we meeting at today? This isn't going to be in Elysium. It needs to be somewhere semi-controlled and a little bit off the beaten path. You can go warehouse, you can do a barn, you can do just something out in the middle of the woods. But it needs to host 200-ish people. It needs to have some type of control about it.
She rented out a conference room,
Okay.
like a whole conference area, like,
Yep.
like floor.
Yep.
Because she let the owners know that it has to be late because this is a very private gathering of, people that should not be disturbed. We do not want any spies, that kind of thing. They have a huge business deal that needs to go down, and that's why it's at night.
Oh, I love this. Okay, so it's an entire conference suite type of situation.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. I don't want to do it in the middle of the woods, but I do like the idea that this is, when you get far enough out on the fringes of an area and they're in recent development, like all the trees have been pulled down and there's construction everywhere and it looks like a lot of things are popping up. This is like the single building that has popped up, that this big conference hall situation, but you can tell in 3 months this isn't going to be a viable location to meet anymore because suddenly it's going to be surrounded by very like buildings. But in this moment in time, it's an ideal place to meet. Like half of the concrete has already been laid for parking, but the rest of it is still rubble and dirt. It's one of those type of situations, but everything has been cleared where you guys are going to meet. And I'm going to trial out this method of storytelling with the last 15-20 minutes that we have of this game. But first, I just want to address 3 very quick things with the 3 of you. Do I want to end the episode here or nope? I want to keep going. I want to trial out this one thing, but I do want to just walk through something with the 3 of you. You all are aware of each other. Connor is aware of Leah. Leah is aware of Ivy. Ivy is aware of all of you. You are not friends. You don't have any reason to really circulate in the same circles. And given your sires or your murdered sires situations, you don't really have a lot of reasons to overlap. But you do see each other at gatherings. The people in your inner circle within your clan or your sire are aware of the rumors and the gossip and the things that surround the other people. So as you all file in to this particular gathering that's been called by Prince Glass, I want to just briefly do a round table so we understand what the characters know of the other characters going around. And this is just going to be a rapid fire discussion. Not a lot. It's just, I see Doc's face. It's just going to be a rapid fire, quick discussion. I will say at least this much walking into this gathering. Mr. Prim, who is your sire, Connor Rowe, doesn't attend. Ryan already determined that he doesn't attend these meetings unless it's something super urgent or if it's an emergency. So you are on your own here. Ivy, Moses is absolutely here. But that doesn't mean that you have to be attached to him. Things are great. You guys are on the best terms that you've been on in years. And Leah, you don't have a sire because your sire absolutely caught a shotgun shell to the face from your counter. Justice is here, though. Justice is definitely here. So I just want to start. Let's start with the order that these are going to air. Tracey, this is you and I before we kind of go to a round table. What do we know? What would they know about Leah? We definitely know that she's a thin blood.
Well, first of all, they would have known she was a ghoul. She was a ghoul. And I'm sure there was plenty of gossip about them taking this scraggly looking kid and sticking her with Gloria like that's going to make up for Edmund being gone.
Yep.
There was this amazing venture. Okay.
No, that I love that because that's really important, especially for another Ventrue character. You started off as a ghoul to both of Ventrue and a Malkavian. Yep. And
so that would have been the first thing that they would ever have known about her.
Yep.
She tries, especially since her embrace, but she has always tried to stay back out of the way.
Yeah.
Like not in the limelight. She's staying back, but she's present.
Okay.
She's always present at the very first before she was embraced with Miss Gloria.
Yep.
If Miss Gloria was there somewhere, you knew Leah was.
Yep.
And before then, she wanted to know all the ghouls, like everybody's ghouls. She would try to make friends. If anyone had an assistant, potentially Gerard.
Gerard, yeah.
Allowed to talk to me because I'm a rat. But she would have tried to make friends with the other ghouls just because they could help each other. After her embrace.
Well, That's a word for it. After your change is probably a little bit more appropriate for the setting.
Fair. Hurtful, but fair. But she would have made it a point to try at some point to get to know almost everybody in court.
Okay.
Especially the underrepresented.
Mm-hmm.
Continued, if she's allowed to meet with ghouls, she would like to try and talk to them and continue to almost as like a pale mirror of what Nia Glass was when she was Harpy.
Yeah.
She wanted to know little things about everybody because it was important for her for very different reasons.
Reasons, for sure.
So I think those are the things that, and if she was meek as a ghoul, even more so now, whereas most people, when they are embraced into vampiric society, they become more emboldened, more powerful, more, cocky even.
Yeah.
She's more meek.
She's more meek, yeah.
So,
no, that's stunning. Before I tee up Doc and Tiffany to be able to tell us rumors that they may have heard about Leah, they don't have to be true. They can be adjacent to true. They can be completely random. But vampire society is an eternal structure of trying to fight boredom and your beast. That's what you do full time. You have jobs and goals and political machinations, but really you're fighting boredom and you're fighting your beast. That's what you do full time. So rumor is everything. Gossip is an actual currency. So before I tee you guys up to just tell me a couple rumors that you may have heard or may suspect or even may impress, I'll also say that one thing that has been cycling around pretty commonly is that this thin blood is actually under the accounting, which means if she passes her accounting and justice, the scourge releases her, which, let's talk about cold-blooded. Her accounter is somebody that kills her people for a living. What does that house look like when they first wake up in the night? Rumor has run through that Edmund, this ancient, powerful Ventru in Columbus that has been beckoned, called in a life boon that Harpy Glass, Prince Glass, owed him to be able to acknowledge and protect this particular thin blood. Sure, that's the only thing that really makes sense. That may or may not be true, but something happened for the fact that this thing isn't splattered on the wall like the rest of the people that Justice kills every night. Ivy, what's a rumor that you've heard about Leah?
That she likely has blackmail on someone. That is why she's still allowed to move in circles. Because we don't believe that a life boon would be worth trading in for a thin blood. Or that she has information that somebody needs to get from her, and then we will be called in.
You're just waiting for that contract to get authenticated, and then very likely you'll be called in to take care of that thin blood situation. Connor, what's a rumor that you've heard regarding this thin blood?
I've heard plenty about this thin blood, notably that she carries with her a nickname that followed her from her, well, embrace seems too kind of a word, but I've heard that she's been called a rat. And what I've heard from this is that one does not gain that moniker easily. Rats tend to scurry. They tend to feed opportunistically. They tend to run at the first sign of danger. I've heard that this nickname isn't just from how she was found, but that she's actually ferrying information back to the Scourge Justice on various other member of Kindred Society, and whether or not it's true, I suspect that there may have been things circulated that have harmed others from her direct hand and her incompetence, shall we say.
No, I love that, because if that rumor is circulating right now, the more Leah reaches out to try to connect with other people's ghouls, the more their regnants are pulling them back. It's like, don't talk to that one. So the more you reach out, Leah, the more you seem to be cast aside. Connor, what do we know about our favorite Ventru?
We know a good bit about him. You may have noticed at the announcement at Elysium about the Tremere pyramid falling that he stood in a corner off to himself. Leah, in her hearing from ghouls, has heard tale that from time to time he looks injured. As we noted, he's missing his left middle finger at the moment, but immediately after the meeting at Elysium, some noted that he was wearing a bandage on his hand, or that one of his cheekbones looks recently fractured. And people know that in kindred society, you can easily heal such a wound from feeding, but why did he have that bandage on for nearly a week? He could have cleaned that up in days, in hours even. And it is known that in this kindred society that even though Connor has been in Columbus for nearly 30 years, Mr. Prim has yet to release him from his accounting. And as a result, Connor tends to find those that he thinks he can push down upon and will notably do so. They may have seen that some of the ghouls have walked away injured or hurt, even though she knows they've done nothing wrong, or perhaps a ghoul disappears and the rumors that Connor did it himself, but everybody knows that Mr. Prim is the one pulling the strings.
Connor Rowe is the open-faced scandal of Columbus. His name is known, especially in Ventru circles, but in other circles as well. I would say at a national level, 30 years under the accounting. That's scandalous. Scandal should have been called after 3 years. 3 years would have been accepted, or 3 years would have been unacceptable. He's 10 times that. Rumor has it Mr. Prim is never going to release him from the accounting. That just makes all of this somehow worse. 30 years. And he's not acknowledged. He's not even a recognized vampire in Camarilla society. This is the longest leash that we have seen in modern nights. Leah, what's a rumor that you've heard about Connor?
First of all, Leah always tries to assume the best in people. That is something that her mom's instilled in her. And every single thing that she has seen about Connor has taught her he is a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
He is leaning really into showing how mean he is, how haughty he is. But from her mother's perspectives, the things that she was taught is that a kick dog bites. And I think that may not be something that everyone in the domain understands. But I think that that's a thing that she sees.
A kicked dog will bite. Based on the constant injuries you see on him, unhealed injuries, he's definitely not biting the hand that feeds him. He's very likely to redirect that elsewhere. Ivy, what is a rumor that you have heard about Connor Rowe, the scandal of Columbus?
I don't know that she pays a lot of mind to him and his rumors, because he walks in like he owns the place. He's mean to everybody around him, and she can't stand for it. She's got 2 more status than he does.
Mm-hmm.
And for him to act like he's better than her, he needs to go somewhere else. So I think a lot of it, he's just in the periphery. And until Mr. Prim says something, that's when she listens.
Because you're not wrong, Ivy. He doesn't technically have a voice. He's an extension of Mr. Prim's voice. Huh. Ivy, what do we know of Ivy?
Well, since our clan doesn't really talk, what you
That's
do
right.
know is that Ivy was seen for almost a year with the former sheriff. And he, after Vienna fell, well, yeah, after Vienna
Mhm.
fell, so right before our, what was her position?
She was Harpy.
That's right.
Yep.
Our harpy went missing. That was of our clan.
Oh, sorry. You're talking about that one. That was the
Yeah,
seneschal that went missing. Yeah.
seneschal. That's right, the seneschal. Yeah. So our seneschal went missing right before the announcement. Probably what was that? Within days, I think.
Yep.
Right. And then after that happened, there was probably about 2 weeks that you saw the sheriff Angel by himself without me. And then when I arrived back in court, I was alone. He has not been found. And so, as the court likes to do, there's lots of things to say. You will know that Moses, her sire, shunned her for a really long time, but when she showed back up after those 2 weeks, he's been gracious and kind and, been treating her well, singing her praises.
Mhm.
But if anybody asks directly, all the Banu Hakim are very tight-lipped.
It's always the quiet ones, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, the other things you do know is that before all of this went down, she was the one of the many that got, well, was there seven? One of seven that would get called contracts for either blood hunts or to bring someone into the prince, or just to be eliminated altogether, whether it be mortal or kindred.
Yep. Yeah. Connor. Fucking Banu Hakim. Their secrets. Fine. They probably ate their seneschal. Rumors are rumors. What is a rumor that you have heard about Ivy?
I've heard with Ivy that being one of the few called in to take care of such business, be it kind or kindred, that she almost takes a twisted pleasure in it, especially if it's a fellow kindred, because she knows that it can advance her status. As we know, ambition is rewarded here, and her ambitions are bathed in the vitae of the kindred before her.
That's a great rumor. That's strong. That's strong. Leah, what's a rumor that you've heard about Ivy?
So I have witnessed a lot of elder vampires. While there are not capital E elders,
Mm-hmm.
the sires tend to have sway over their childer.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't experience that. I don't know what that's like. I had maybe a moment where my sire was everything. I'm not even sure which one of them in the room it was.
Yep.
But I've seen the sway sires have over their childer. And for a while, I think the rumor may be going around that once she disappeared, she absolutely killed that guy. She murked the shit out of him. And now her sire is afraid of her, which is why he is now giving her this breadth.
Oh.
So she must know something or have something over him.
Oh. This is good. Thank you for that little thought experience. I was very curious to just see how the rumors would toggle back and forth, especially because we're in a position where you haven't seen each other's intro episodes except for Leah's at this point. So this is going to be super funny once you guys actually see them roll out. But that was delicious. This is absolutely Vampire Society. This is absolutely brilliant. I absolutely love it. You were called into this conference center by Prince Nia Glass. You are all gathered in a room that looks like what, Doc?
Um, there's not much around. A couple chairs, tables, things like that. Uh, I'm assuming there are other kindred around as well.
Yeah, it's about 200 of you guys in the domain coming in right now. Maybe 175, 150 that appeared here. This wasn't a mandatory one, but it was highly recommended that you attend. Mr. Prim does what he
Of
wants.
course. Mr. Prim told me to come here and report back to him, so
Yep.
as soon as this meeting's over, you know where Connor's going. But the room itself is, everybody seems to be mulling about. There's an uncomfortable air reminiscent of that meeting at Elysium a few months ago.
Yeah.
That nobody knows what's going to happen, just that something has happened or something that requires the engagement of everybody. So there's the room itself very poorly furnished, but there's an uncomfortable air of, if this meeting was so important, why is everyone not here? And also the other question being asked of, why are those here the ones that showed up?
Perfect. Prince Nia Glass is doing exactly what Harpy Nia Glass did, despite her now sudden shift in power and scale. She's still meeting people, speaking with them in a familiar tone, collecting her data. Some things are conditioned, but she does eventually move to the center of the room where there's no elevated pedestal or anything. So she's just there in the center of the room, and she has Justice that is standing there looking deferent beside her, and you all are kind of gathered around in a circle, and she looks to each of you. How she's able to look at 150 people and make it seem like you as an individual are the only one in the room is just a master class in manipulation. But a smile spreads across her face, a very even, very simple smile. She's wearing another one of those long black cocktail almost dresses with black high heels. You always do notice that her shadows that move around her almost seem like they're moving independently of her, but she is of La Sombra. That's not necessarily surprising as much as it is consistently unsettling. The shadows around her still as she projects. Citizens of Columbus, we begin this gathering of our fellows, and we begin this event with an execution that each of you knew was coming. Please bring forward, and then Tracey, give me the name of this Malkavian that launched on that Bruja at Elysium that's getting ready to be destroyed.
Oh no.
What's her name? Or yeah, it was a girl. Yeah, what's her name?
It's a girl. Yeah. Because I love hurting. I want her name to be Hope.
Hope?
Hope.
You're a terrible person.
Yeah.
Okay. What's Hope's last name?
Jameson.
So funny. I had written a J because I was thinking of a J name, and you just literally nailed it. That's my... Bring forward Miss Hope Jameson. And Tracey, being that you're doing this to yourself, I just want you to tee up what this looks like when Hope Jameson is brought forward by Gloria and another Malkavian for her public execution. And then we're going to call game.
I think all of them were broken the day they felt Vienna fall. And I think we all saw that night how connected all of that clan is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're all doing their level best to look stoic and stable. And I think the only one that actually is Hope. I think that she, at this point, because at this point it's been, weeks?
It's been almost 2 months. Things had
yeah.
to stabilize under the new praxis.
Yeah. So, I mean, she's had weeks to come to terms with what she's done. And really, she didn't have control over it. But she, I think, is walking into this the only one that has kind of come to terms. And so I think while all the rest of them are really trying to put on a good face, even Gloria is an expert at kind of putting on a front one way or another. I think the rest of her clan has suffered one insult after another too many. And they are just broken. And she is the only one standing tall, her eyes locked on the prince and accepting.
Hope Jenkins is brought before the prince by Gloria and another member of Clan Malkavian as they prepare to say goodbye. To your point, they prepare, but Hope is prepared. Hope is brought down to her knees, and Nia Glass addresses the room, but it feels like she's addressing each of you individually. Elysia are sacred. Hope knows, as each of you know, that violence is strictly prohibited on Elysium grounds. Kindred, no matter the circumstances, are expected to keep their tempers in check, and they're expected to check their grievances at the door. There are sacred places such as these that cannot be compromised for any reason. Hope Jenkins lost herself. She committed an act of violence on Elysium grounds. And that's something the tenants of Elysium nor this domain will forgive. And then she looks down to Hope. Those who are super observant can just notice that flicker of a smile that the prince is attempting to hide. For your sins against the institution of Elysium, I sentence you to death. And that, friends of the Symphony, is where we are going to end our show for the evening. Thank you to everyone who is watching live. Thank you to everyone who is watching the replay. You are indeed the best part of waking up. We will see you soon for the next episode in Sanguine Arch, Symphony's very first Vampire the Masquerade game. Thank you and have a wonderful night. Bye, guys.